everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at the story of Tafi the tortoise. And this story comes from a collection of stories called Pasted Text. And this one really got us thinking about how we can all get closer to achieving our goals.
Yeah, and how we can all relate to this little tortoise.
For sure. So to set this up, it's not just about a tortoise, who's trying to win a race. This story is about all those times that we all feel pulled in a million different directions. And those times where we're struggling to just focus on the things that really matter to us.
Yeah, like there are only so many hours in a day.
Exactly. Have you ever felt like that? Like you're constantly getting sidetracked from your goals?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
I mean, so many things can pull our attention away from what we really want to be doing. So in this story, we meet Tafi, and he is a tortoise with some pretty big dreams. He wants to become the fastest tortoise in the entire jungle.
And that's a pretty ambitious goal for a tortoise.
It is. But he keeps getting distracted. It seems like every time he tries to focus on his training, something pulls him away.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, for one, he's got his friend Keto the monkey, who's always trying to get him to play games.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Right. I mean, who hasn't been tempted to just, check social media or, answer that one last email?
Yeah, it's so easy to get pulled into those things.
And then there's this beautiful butterfly that Tafi just can't resist watching flitting around in the jungle. It's like he's mesmerized.
It's so interesting how those distractions are specific to Tafi's world,
Mm-hmm.
but they really mirror the things we all struggle with.
It's true.
Like those tempting games with keto. Those are like our social media feeds or like our email inboxes that are always demanding our attention.
Constantly.
And that mesmerizing butterfly.
Yeah.
Well, that could be anything that pulls us away from our goals. It could be like a news article or a text message or even just like a sudden urge to reorganize your desk.
Yeah, or to do the dishes or anything.
Exactly. Anything that takes our attention away from the task at hand.
So, okay, we've got this tortoise. He's got big dreams. He's getting sidetracked. What does he do?
Well, he decides he needs some guidance. So he goes to see Naya the nightingale.
Okay, so Naya, she's like the wise one in the jungle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's known for her wisdom and for giving really good advice.
So what does she tell Tafi?
She tells him a story, actually. A story about another animal in the jungle who was also struggling to reach his goals.
Oh, a story within a story. I love it. Who's the story about?
It's about Mosi the elephant.
An elephant. Okay, so what is Mosi trying to do?
Well, Mosi's goal is to find the biggest baobab tree in the entire jungle.
Okay, so it's like this grand quest.
It is. And it's not that Mosi isn't motivated to find the tree. He really wants to. He just keeps getting sidetracked.
So he knows what he wants, he just doesn't know how to get there.
Exactly. And that's what Nia's story is all about. It's about this idea that it's not always about lacking motivation. Sometimes it's really about learning how to manage distractions.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like Mosi knows why he wants to find the tree. That's the easy part. But the actual process of getting there, that's where he's getting tripped up.
So he's struggling with the how, not the why.
Exactly.
So how does he figure it out? What does he do to overcome these distractions?
Well, he gets some help from another wise creature in the jungle. He goes to see Oren the owl.
Okay, so we've got the nightingale, and now we've got an owl. This jungle is full of wisdom.
It really is. And Oren, he gives Mosi some pretty sage advice. He tells him that if you don't separate yourself from distractions, your distractions will separate you from your goals.
Oh, wow, that's pretty deep.
It is. And, it really resonates with a lot of the productivity advice we hear today, things like time blocking or creating a dedicated workspace.
Yeah.
It's all about minimizing distractions so you can really focus on what's important.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So does Mosi actually take Oren's advice to heart?
He does. And for Tafi, I think hearing that story was a real turning point. He realizes that if this big, strong elephant could struggle with distractions and then overcome them by changing his habits, well, maybe he could too.
I can see how that would be a light bulb moment for him.
Right.
It's like sometimes we need to hear about someone else's success to believe that we can do it too.
Absolutely. And so Tafi, he decides to take Nia's advice to heart.
Okay, so what does he actually do? What changes does he make?
Well, instead of sleeping in and, immediately getting caught up in all the hustle and bustle of the jungle, he starts waking up before sunrise.
Oh, that's a good strategy. I've read that a lot of really successful people swear by those early morning routines. It's like they're getting a head start on the day before the distractions even have a chance to wake up.
Yeah, it's like they're creating this quiet space where they can really focus.
Right. Before the emails start coming in, before the phone starts ringing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's not just about avoiding those external distractions. It's also about creating the right environment for focus.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. So, like, for Mosi, waking up early meant that he was able to avoid all the other animals who might have, sidetracked him from his search for the baobab tree.
Exactly. And think about it. What's the jungle like at sunrise?
Hmm. Well, I imagine it's pretty quiet and peaceful. The animals are just waking up, the sun is rising, there's probably a kind of stillness in the air.
Yeah, it's serene.
And that's a great environment for focusing, right? It's like your mind is clear and you can really think.
Absolutely. It's like creating a mental sanctuary where you can work on your goals without interruption. And that's exactly what Tafi does. He
Yeah.
finds this secluded spot away from his playful friends and those mesmerizing butterflies.
So it's like his version of turning off notifications and closing unnecessary tabs.
Precisely. He's
Oh.
creating his own little productivity bubble.
I love that analogy. It's like he's practicing mindfulness before mindfulness was even a thing. But it's not just about finding the right time and place, right? It's also about discipline and willpower, like
Uh-huh.
actually doing the work.
You're hitting on a key point here. Tafi could have easily found a million excuses to stay in bed or to go hang out with Keto or to just watch the butterflies all day.
Oh, totally. He could have just said, oh, it's too hard. I'll never be fast enough.
Exactly. But he didn't. He chose to commit to his goal. And that's where the real magic happens. It's about turning that intention into action day after day.
So it sounds like Taffy is really starting to embody those principles of clarity, commitment, and control that we were talking about earlier.
He is. And,
Yeah.
all that hard work, it starts to pay off.
So does he actually become the fastest tortoise in the jungle?
He does. But what's even more interesting is what happens next. You see, Tafi's transformation, it starts to inspire the other animals in the jungle.
Oh, wow. So it's like a ripple effect. One person's dedication can actually spark change in an entire community.
Exactly. His friends, they see how dedicated he is and how much progress he's making, and they're amazed. They start to believe that maybe they could achieve their goals too.
It's like his commitment becomes contagious.
It is. And that brings us to another important point. This story isn't just about Tafi becoming fast. It's about the impact he has on others. He inspires his friends, and they, in turn, they start to believe in their own potential.
It's a reminder that personal growth isn't just an individual pursuit. It can actually have a positive impact on the people around us.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. Tafi's dedication becomes this inspiring force in the whole jungle. But let's bring this back to us for a sec. We're not tortoises. We don't live in a jungle. So what can we really learn from Tafi's story?
I think the biggest takeaway here is that achieving any goal, whether it's becoming faster or finishing a project or learning a new skill, it all requires that same dedication and focus that Tafi shows us.
So it's not about the specific goal. It's more about those underlying principles,
Yeah.
commitment, focus, all that.
Yeah, exactly. Tafi's journey, it really highlights these three key things that are super important for success, no matter what you're trying to do.
Okay, I like this. I'm ready.
Yeah.
What's number one?
Okay, so first, you have to be super clear about what you actually want to achieve.
Right.
Like, what is it that you're working towards? Tafi knew he wanted to be the fastest.
Right. So it's like you got to figure out what your baobab tree is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you searching for? Exactly. You got to define it. Second, you need to actually commit to putting in the work. Even when it's hard, even when you'd rather be doing something else.
Yeah.
Remember those early mornings that Tafi was embracing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And third, we need to figure out how to wrangle those distractions.
Right.
Like Tafi finding that quiet spot away from the monkeys and the butterflies.
Exactly. Those three things, clarity, commitment, and control.
Hmm.
Those are your keys to
This
success.
clarity, commitment, control. I'm writing this down. This is gold.
It's a powerful framework.
Okay, but what about those of us who just feel so overwhelmed even thinking about all the distractions in our lives? Tafi just had to deal with a few chatty monkeys and a pretty butterfly. We have smartphones and social media and the news is always on.
It's true. We're facing a whole different kind of jungle these days.
Yeah.
But the principles are still the same. It's all about making conscious choices to prioritize what really matters to us. Just like Tafi chose to wake up early and find that quiet place to practice. We can choose to set boundaries with technology or, create dedicated workspaces or even just try practicing some mindfulness to help us stay focused.
So it's not about becoming a hermit and like shutting out the entire world.
No, no, not at all.
It's more about being intentional with our time and energy.
Exactly. It's about finding those strategies that work for you, that help you carve out that space to focus in the middle of our, crazy busy world.
I love that. And it's like Toffee's story, it's not a prescription. It's more like an inspiration.
It is. Yeah. It shows us that even in a world that's full of distractions with a little bit of focus and dedication, we can really achieve amazing things.
I mean, this has been such a cool deep dive. I had no idea that a simple story about a tortoise could be so insightful.
Sometimes the most profound lessons, they come from the most unexpected places.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Toffee's journey, we want to leave you with this question. What's one small step that you can take today to separate yourself from those distractions and move a little bit closer to your goals? Maybe it's setting a time limit for social media or, creating that distraction-free work zone or even just committing to like a few minutes of quiet reflection every morning. Remember, even the tiniest actions, when you do them consistently, they can lead to some pretty remarkable results. Until next time, keep diving deeper, keep learning, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.